Hi, peace, love, and light. I want to talk to you about toxic families. It's holiday season, especially for Jews who have to sit around with their family members, people they didn't choose. You don't choose to be in a family. You can choose your friends, but you can never choose your family. It was one of the wisest words I ever heard when I went to Lesley University in Boston. And sat there, this very, very fat, heavy, like really obviously a man with a lot of eating disorders, a lot of anger issues, large, huge guy called Peter. I don't remember his last name, a social worker in his training, I guess. And he said, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. The problem is for a lot of us, if you think about your lifespan, when you're a child, you can't really choose who to be with. Luckily for me, I had a father who loved animals, so I had a dog and a cat, and I had several other hamsters. I had everything. And that was for me everything, because the humans around me were not people that I would say made me feel good about myself, about life, about anything. And now I met like this distant relatives of mine, and I gotta say, it made me think a lot about how people can hurt each other. Communication is key. A lot of times people are only focused on themselves and they have a hard time seeing the other perspective. That's what communication is all about. A lot of families that lack communication skills. I don't even remember having one conversation with my paternal grandparents. That's where my family, newfound relatives are from. Nothing. The Holocaust side was the more functioning one. And you think about what they lost. They lost their entire family members, entire families, mother, father, children, their siblings. They all were murdered. And yet they were able to communicate better than my Ukrainian / Russian, because it wasn't clear what it was then, family. I don't remember one word. Definitely not a kind word, that's for sure. And it hurts when you are in a situation where people don't talk to each other. And then there's all these inheritance battles where people just take money and run. And they don't care about you. And you realize you mean nothing to them. And all my Passover meals were with my mother's side of the family, which wasn't better. I had aunt and uncle who were educated people, but they were not educated in communication and definitely not about emotional intelligence. They just said the worst things, and there were always fights in languages I didn't understand, Yiddish, Hungarian, broken German, and Passover was a nightmare. My father was an amazing man, may he rest in peace, who had a lovely voice and had reading skills and should have been an actor, really. But he thought he had to work in order to provide for the family. So he was not in a creative field. And I think it's really tragic that only when he saw death coming, when he had cancer, he went to a Greek island. And even then he worked bringing tourists, Israeli tourists, who tortured him. They were like little babies, and he had to, he had all these tremors. He was just overloaded, and he never took out his anger on other people. Rarely did I see him express any emotion. And he just took a lot from other people. Took a lot, like they would just say the worst things and he wouldn't react. And when his parents died, his sisters inherited. And there were women that just didn't leave the house, and they had eating disorders, were huge. And they just didn't go out of the house. They went by taxis. Their children were severely damaged children, maybe also genetically. And I just didn't have any conversations with anyone. And not on my father's side, not on my mother's side, and not with my siblings as well. What I thought was a good relationship with my mother turned out to be non-existent. There was no communication. So the best communication I had was with the animals. You can't really communicate. So this night I met family members who, for the first time I saw people who looked like me, shared interests with me. But then again today when I said, hey, I was saying what I'm doing, we're busy preparing for the holiday. And that was like a hard blow, because it never occurred to them that I'm alone. Once they were really reaching out and invited me to see this theater play, but once Once they were done with their motivation, like, oh, we invited a woman, they never occurred to them to invite me for the meal or anything. And maybe they're busy with themselves, to be honest. Maybe I'm not also good at understanding what their needs are. But our needs don't match. They're like very wealthy. They can buy anything. They can buy a theater play. They can buy whatever they want. And to be honest, I don't understand people who can live anywhere in the world and they don't just live in Israel because of language. Because I speak English fluently. I grew up in the States, but it's still not the same. It's still not the same. I love the music here. A lot of things I don't like, but I definitely would never choose to live in another country anymore. Because I just don't think I could get along. I can understand what people are saying, and I need to understand. I need to feel part of something. I really am sad I don't live next to my children. Maybe one day I will leave and live next to my children. Who knows? Right now everything is up in the air. But I have my dog, and I'm training her. I have my cat, and I have my life. And now I'm trying to clear my house of clutter, lots of books, lots of clothes, and things I don't need, because less is more. And I'm trying to focus on what's important in life. I really love my children, but they have their own lives. They're adults now. And I definitely will not force them the way my mother forced me, when she went in peace, to, as an adult even, as a mother of 3 kids, forcing me to do what she wanted and not listening to what I need, what I feel. I don't want to sit in a holiday table. If I had small children, I would definitely tell them the story of Passover. But right now, I'm in real freedom. I don't need to sit around with anybody around dinner table. All my eating, breathing, drinking water, practicing yoga, it's in the company of my trusted friend Shiva. We practice yoga, we go to the beach. I share a lot with other people who have dogs and rightfully make the dogs the center of their lives because people have hurt them so much. People just don't understand each other. People lack communication skills, most people. I don't think a lot of people really understand each other. Whether it's a marriage or a family, there's just so much miscommunication. And why would you want to be with people who don't understand you and say things that are not nice? Then there's expectations. The minute I hooked up with a family, or I don't know if it's the right word, the minute I connected to them, already, oh, will they invite me to the Passover Seder? And I remember that every Passover Seder since has been really odd because I was so used to going to my grandparents, so used to the rituals, my grandmother serving, my grandfather conducting the Seder, had a beautiful voice too. And then when my grandmother died, everything fell apart. They were just all over the place looking for like bounty hunters. And I was so disgusted by the money battles and the inheritance battles, and they just took the money and ran and didn't think at all about me being important enough to maintain contact with. Whether it's my cousin, she's a doctor, she doesn't really think I'm important enough. So I've got a message to my family members and the whole world, in fact. I am important. I am important. I'm worth it. I'm a worthy person. And if you don't think I'm worthy, you're not worthy for me to spend time with. And I'm also being more selective in the people I choose. And yesterday I took a huge risk. I was with family members, but you know what? I did it. It's enough. I was shocked. I was asking the girls, aren't they sad their parents don't live in Israel? They said they're like barnacles. And then I realized, it sounded nice, and they speak English, by the way, so that's a language I can communicate better because I spend more time outside of Israel. But still, there's no music that can come close to Israeli music for me as far as touching my soul, and there's no energy that I would like better than to live here at the moment. It's a good place to grow old for me. I can still work. I can find a meaningful life here more than I can somewhere else where I'm too old to work. There's also age discrimination here, but not as much as in other countries. Once you're past 40, forget about working in Europe, US, I don't know. It's just, work is not the focus of my life. It's just a way to survive. The focus of my life is a spiritual life, and spiritual life of yoga every day, meditation every day, going to nature to Yeah, it's the beach. It's not very quiet here. It's very crowded. Maybe one day I will move up north or whatever, but listening to the birds, practicing yoga. I don't want to sit around a table and wait for the Knedelach to come out. And if you don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with you. That should be the key sentence in life. And the people that disconnected from me, from the family, they're not worthy of me spending time with them. I like being by myself. I like being with animals because we understand each other. They're not complicated. They don't say mean words. They have expectations also. I don't really expect anything from them. I know what to expect from a dog and a cat. They really just want to be fed and loved and feel safe. And that's what we all need. So if you have a family that's toxic and hurting you in any way, disconnect. And as for people who disconnected from me, well, good riddance. I don't need you in my life if you don't need me in your life. And we don't really need a lot. We live such a short time. And to connect to a higher force through yoga is just like such a gift. Peace, light, and love. And don't spend time with people who don't appreciate you. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.